Hey, my name is Edwin Paz, and my topic of discussion will be immigration. Personally, I feel that immigration has a very negative aura in the United States, in the sense that when people think of immigration, they think of something detrimental to our economy, something that is hazardous with our population. A few years back, whenever the illegal alien, I believe it was in Florida, ended up massacring like 6 people, it became frontline news against immigration and just how like crooked our immigration policy and process was. And as the son of 2 immigrants, I just feel like we shouldn't let one bad apple ruin it for the bunch. I've seen firsthand how complex the correct way of applying for the right to be a U.S. citizen is. And honestly, I can't knock any immigrants that really try their best to flee their existing countries and come here, because it is a very complex process. And I don't. Both of my parents are Hispanic. My dad's from Guatemala. My mom's from Mexico. Um, it's just strange that like Mexico is neighboring with the United States, and yet there is still a very lengthy process that they would have to go through just as well as any other. Like someone in India, take example, will probably have like a 5 year advantage in their getting into the U.S. process, just because the population and compared to the amount of applications that the U.S. receives from Mexico is going to be a lot higher than the ones from India. And just by that fact alone, if you're Indian coming from India, your chances to get into the U.S. will be a lot quicker and probably better than if you're just applying for Mexico directly. Um, Now, to become a U.S. citizen, there's a few criteria you have to meet. You have to be at least 18 years old. You at least have to show good intent, have good morale, no previous criminal history in your homeland. Um, you have to have a basic understanding of the English language and a general knowledge of the Constitution. Um, so once you know you're eligible to become a United States citizen, you should apply for naturalization. Now, naturalization is essentially you agreeing to temporarily come here in the sense that we're going to see how good you do here. And if you can matriculate well enough in your day-to-day life, then you'll get the chance to become a U.S. citizen, and if not, you just return back to your home country. But once you're accepted into the naturalization process, you'll need to complete biometrics. So they'll take your fingerprints, do a background check on you, make sure you are who you say you are, you're not a criminal. Then once your screening gets done with, you'll be calling in to do an interview, and then they'll just make sure that you fulfill the needs they require of you. And the sense that like on application easily, as a Hispanic I've seen it firsthand, they'll put like, do you have the basic knowledge of the English language, and they'll hit yes. And on paper that's perfectly fine, but when you come in to do a physical interview and you have someone that really gives you the speaky English kind of vibe, you'll know that they've been lying and that they truly don't. And that alone is enough for them to just kind of call off the rest of the application for you, like saying, hey, you clearly do not have the requirements of knowing the English language. Therefore, we're just going to nip this in the butt kind of deal. But if you can kind of show them, like, hey, I do have good moral, my background check checks out. As you can see, I'm kind of communicating with you. It doesn't have to be perfect English, but like, show that they at least can communicate in the sense of anything goes down, they have somewhere to communicate with you. Once you kind of pass that face to face, then you have to go and do the test, and that is the civics test and the English test. English test will kind of just gauge you on your grammar, pronunciation, vocabulary, and overall just kind of knowledge. I mean, you can tell when you speak to Hispanics around I say that not to be racist, just as like me personally. I work at a bank, and I'm always hearing them like coming up with that, the struggle in their English. And you can manage what they say, but I'm gonna be honest. Even as someone who speaks Spanish, I don't openly advertise that I speak Spanish. So I've had some people explain to me, and they struggle a lot in explaining something kind of basic in English. Like in terms of instead of saying money, they just say like, and you can tell they don't really fully understand the English language, and they're trying to communicate with you because sometimes they're here not based off the criteria needed. So, um, once they pass your English test, they got to pass a civics test. Civics test is going to ask you basically just history and constitution questions. My mom and dad both got their citizenship around the same time, so they actually gave them the little CD to listen to. And that was just a list of all the questions that they could possibly be asked. And I remember literally like every day having to listen to it. And I mean, honestly, it taught them a lot about U.S. history. And like, at that point in time, I was still in high school. I was loving history class. I got to enlighten them all about history, and they really enjoyed it. And that really turned over when they took their citizenship course. And I mean, thank God that my parents are citizens to this day. But once you pass those tests, then you're ready to take the oath. And once you take the oath, you basically pledge that you are now a U.S. citizenship, and that no other country has your beliefs, you're no longer inclined to any other country except the United States. Um, yeah. My name is Edwin, and that was my attempt on an immigration speech.